Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you so much for your support. Sorry that we ran a little late. It's just that I was running some errands and it took a little longer than expected. So my apology. Let me switch back to the World Cup kind of layout. So there you go. And then we'll dive in. So today we're going to be discussing: is the World Cup rigged? Is it rigged? I mean, there's been a lot of scandals that I think they're worth not so much talking. I mean, we can definitely develop, but I mean, look, I'm gonna give two opinions, and it's gonna be a little controversial, but I mean, I am delighted that the World Cup is in the United States. Number one, and number two, I think the organization in itself, it's been great. I think it's been a great experience, fans and also press and things like that. I think nothing has been controversial, but there are some bombs that are happening around this time with the Argentine Federation and FIFA that are really, like, I mean, the FBI getting involved and things like that, talking about money and money laundering and things like that. Now, should that affect soccer? I should think that it shouldn't. I think it shouldn't affect it whatsoever. Is Messi part of that? That's not what we're trying to do here. We're not saying that at all. I do want to make it clear. But what we're trying to say is that that's what's kind of like the phrase that they've been, a lot of people online have been saying, is the World Cup kind of rigged? But we'll talk about it in just a moment. We have our World Cup semis predictions as well. We have the four best teams technically in the world: France, Spain, England, and Argentina. And then we'll dive into some Orlando City news. Definitely some news to talk about, some transfer rumors as well. Some players may be leaving Orlando City as well. So we'll discuss that in just a moment. So make sure you drop your comment, you subscribe. And also the boys are going to travel to Dallas. They're going to be facing FC Dallas as well.
I think they travel tomorrow, if I remember correctly. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So what's up, David? How are you, my friend? Good to see you again. Another week.
hey, Luis. Hello, all of our loyal watchers and listeners and everybody. Yeah, it's been good. Kind of weird not having World Cup games on every day. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I
get
know
used to
we're right.
that. It's really strange. But no, it's been good. The tournament has been fun. I know there's been some tomfoolery that we'll jump into a little bit later, but it's kind of a weird state for us, as you kind of talked about, because we're winding down the World Cup with the last couple matches coming in the next couple of days, and then Orlando City is starting to like crank up the pressure, the volume, the heat, whatever you want to call it, because they're back in action next week, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. So a lot of stuff going on with all of that, and so yeah, looking forward to getting that all together and just trying to make sure wires don't get crossed and keeping abreast of everything, because it's been nuts, man. These rumors have been up and down, and as of late, the last like 3 days, we've been getting a lot of stuff lately. So I think there's a good chunk to talk about there.
Yeah, we did mention the years previous of the World Cup, and I don't think you were part of LPO yet, David, but I know we did with Paul. I know I did with John when he was here before. We did say, when the World Cup comes, we cannot have bad officiating, and we were saying, okay, we should bring referees from abroad to do that, and they did. They brought a lot of referees from other parts of the world, but it seems like some of the refereeing is being heavily questioned. Some of the VAR calls, and like for example, what happened? We can start with England versus Norway. I thought that game was, I mean, the atmosphere was electric. I thought it was probably aside of the Argentina Cabo Verde game. I think this was the second most like packed, like scenery that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, I do want to say though that some of the English crowd got a little quiet when the Norway goal came in. I mean, it was
Sure.
somber, and that's obviously that comes with growing pains. But I agree. I mean, it was a stalemate until a certain point, and then Norway surprising everybody. I mean, they deserved more. Not really. I think England was the overall better team, in my opinion,
Agreed.
especially in the second half.
Yeah.
And
Well,
to me,
Luis,
I
can
felt
we?
like Haaland was contained pretty well.
Sure.
Um, and there were a couple of chances like that Sorloth, he's being chased in Norway right now because he missed a chance that was pretty much Haaland completely wide
Right on
open.
the doorstep, man.
Right.
Right on the
And he wanted
doorstep.
his own goal. So now I had the
But but
opportunity
but
to talk.
Luis, that's what Sorloff's been all season for Atletico Madrid. Similar kind of problem, right? Because he was that weird like five group of attackers that Atletico Madrid had for most of the season, where it was obviously Antoine Griezmann, who we just got. It was Sorloff, Alvarez, and Lukman. That was like the attacking like core that they had there, and they couldn't figure out how to get Sorloff on the field to work with everybody else. He basically got benched at the end of the season at Atleti because they didn't know what to do with him because he just didn't fit in and he wasn't looking for the extra pass, right? To look at it like outside though, Luis, real quick, I think Norway should be proud of what they put on the field
100%.
and getting as far as they did. They don't match England talent for talent, right? England by far had the better talent on the pitch. So to go into extra time and be able to tie the Giants going into extra time, you should give yourselves a lot of credit for that, right? And then of course, like you saw Holland, do his thing throughout the tournament. He wasn't as lively, of course, in this one. Obviously, you saw people like Odegaard. I know for me, it was Oscar Bob had a pretty good tournament and is somebody that this team should look to for the future. So they've got a bright future ahead of them. But the problem is when you start to come up against the Giants, like England, Spain, France, you're going to run into a brick wall. And if you don't have enough talent, you're going to lose it. I also don't agree, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts is. I don't know why Holland gets subbed off. I think you just play him through
Well,
to the end.
the issue here was fresh legs at some point for Norway because it was so hot and humid. I mean, it was so humid. It was like playing underwater essentially. And so you have to understand, Tuchel and England, they kind of knew the landscape because they've played friendlies in Florida. They played one, I believe, in
Sure.
Tampa, and they played one in Orlando. So they've played several. So they are kind of used to the weather delays, the raining, the lightning, the rain, the humidity.
Right.
So that was a little bit on their advantage, and that kind of happened at the later minutes. Now, when it comes to Holland and Norway, I was surprised too. But when we asked Holland and we asked people within Norway, people said that Holland was out. Like he was out of breath. Like the dude like was tired. Now that's what they claimed. Now again, I was surprised too why they took him out. Now
Yeah.
you have to understand you take your best player out and then literally England closed out the game, you know. Um Again, there's a lot of I felt Norway carried the ball a little better than England. I think they had a little bit more of a bite than England
Mm-hmm.
did in some parts of the game,
Sure.
but they didn't have that finishing execution like Jude Bellingham will have in the box.
Well, I
You
was
know
gonna
what I
say,
mean?
and it's been Jude's tournament, like for England, and then compared to other teams as well, Jude's been one of the best players in the tournament by far, right?
100%.
And England needed somebody on that team to kind of to step up. And it's like I said in our Discord at one point, I just said, Jude is carrying England on his back in this game, and sometimes you need games where you have your stars kind of do that for you, whether that's Harry Kane, whether that's Bellingham, whether it's whoever you wanna. You whenever hit on. The thing I want to talk about though, like in the first kind of bit of kind of weird thing that goes on, the goal that happens after the ball allegedly hits the wire in the stadium, which I saw FIFA put out a statement on it and said, no, based on visual evidence, the ball didn't change trajectory and it didn't rotate differently. That statement doesn't make sense to me though, because the ball has a sensor in it. So why can't FIFA in that statement just say the ball has a sensor in it? The sensor never went off in terms of it never was touched, right? So no, we don't believe it hit the
No,
wire and call it a
it
day.
should have it should have been it should have been a dead ball,
Well,
and it
yeah, that's
should
what
have
the rules say. Yeah,
I mean that's what the rule says,
right.
and that's it. That's the problem with FIFA in this tournament. I mean, we've again, you don't want to be a dick. Sorry for my word. You don't want to be a dick and pair everything towards Argentina,
Sure.
but it's serving the conspiracy. I mean, it is serving the conspiracy when stuff like that happens. You know what I mean? Also, in the Argentina Switzerland game,
Right.
you know, literally, Martinez gave, the Swiss guy on in the box almost a WWE end of days by Baron Corbin. You give him a freaking end of days, and then
Right.
and then the guy looks around on the floor to the and the ref nothing, not even VAR. I'm gonna go watch it. Absolutely nothing. Contacting the box. So those little things, they take away from the great things that we've seen in this World Cup. And that to me annoys me, because I've seen how people work the tournament, a lot of volunteers, a lot of people, really good people doing a lot of good things. But it
Right.
takes away from the fun, I feel like. So,
Yeah, and I think the other thing, and I think we talked about this, I don't know if it was last show or the show before that, but what FIFA should have done to correct a lot of these officiating issues was bring all of the World Cup refs, whatever that selection was, whatever that slate was, tell them to tell their leagues, hey, we need to take these guys now. You've got enough refs who can cover the rest of the league. Bring them in a month before the tournament, or bring them in a couple weeks before the tournament, and say, okay, here's how we want this process to run. Here's how VAR is going to work. Here's how, if it hits the wire, what you should recognize and what you should call on the field. All that stuff should have been practiced, rehearsed, gone through a process, but it seems like FIFA just handed these guys and gals a rule book and said, here are the rules that we're going to run at this tournament. Good luck. And like, that's what they were
now
told, right?
we live in the social media era.
Yeah, very much so.
We have, you know, people that have thousands of views, thousands of likes that could be a voice. And not necessarily they could be journalists or media or accredited press and things like that. And that is one of the beautiful things of the beautiful game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to me, if Infantino wanted to kind of shun away and move away from all these controversy that are happening with Argentina and the rigging, all of that, and we're going to talk about the sponsorships in just a second because I have information about that. You could have made the VAR audios available on X.
True.
You know what I mean? Like what happened in this play with Martinez in Switzerland? What did the ref said or VAR said about, the cable? Like what was said on there? Like
Right.
a little bit more of transparency, especially we live in such a digital era, and that kind of it's your alibi in a way. It kind of
Mm-hmm.
protects you, even though it's public. It protects you as well because you have nothing to hide, right?
Sure.
The
Yeah.
problem is that for this tournament, for example, full transcripts or raw audio recordings of the conversations between VAR and referees and on-field referees are not publicly available for World Cup matches. Now, and for some tournaments, they are available. For example, for Copa Libertadores, for example, at some point they used to have those available. For certain
Mm.
leagues in South America, they are available. Now, I think they should become available at some point,
Sure.
because as we increase the number of teams, guys, I mean, and this continues, it's gonna just a snowball effect, you know.
Yeah.
So
Luis, I
there's
know I know you brought this up about the VAR in the Argentina Switzerland game. And let me say this. I agree that in the spirit of the game, to give Ambolo his second yellow card on that was ridiculous.
yeah,
In the spirit of the game, it's ridiculous. The problem is though, the way that FIFA wrote the law, the only way that VAR gets checked is for mistaken identity. So if he's already issued a yellow card, which he did to the Argentinian player, that card has to go somewhere else, the way the law is written. So in that case, that ref has to follow the letter of the law, which is okay. If it's not, I think it was Paredes, right? Was the defender that was in question. If he doesn't get the yellow card, then the attacker has to for simulation. And so that's why I think this was an abject failure by FIFA because the rule was written incorrectly. What the rule should have said is to include a scenario like what we just saw, where if it's mistaken identity, but both players don't deserve a card, it should just simply be a quick call down to the ref and say, hey, we don't think either one should get a card. There wasn't enough simulation for us to give a card, but then the defender didn't touch him. And then the ref can just say, hey, I wave away the yellow card. There's no card here. Let's just do the free kick. Let's move on, right? But they can't do that because it's not the way the law's written. And so the ref has to enforce it a certain way. So I know people aren't going to like my response to that, but like you have to follow the rule that's on the book, and FIFA did that to themselves. They made that bet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with you on there. I think the new VAR rules, you're completely right on that. I think the rule was applied in a way that directly resulted in a game altering situation, especially for Switzerland. And it created the perception of a system designed to fix the call, right?
Right.
Disproportionately, now you have to understand, like, there's been a lot of officiating, even with technology, that you could definitely say it's been really bad calls. Like, for example, Messi should have had a red card against Algeria. I mean, that
Sure.
that that
Yeah.
that in itself, like, I mean, you can show me 30 million pictures. That is a red card anywhere you go. Now, then also, if you want to be completely honest, the US calling out the red card for Balogun, even though I felt like it wasn't deemed for a red card. I mean, the whole show that happened with the president, it just doesn't
Right.
help the game, in my opinion, with all due respect. Just think it didn't help at all whatsoever. And then, other things, what happened in Egypt as well, the contentious, on these contentious moments in which there's high stakes happening, and the subjectivity of the interpretation, I just
Right.
feel like it's been really subpar in this tournament. I think it's taken away from the fun, from the fans, from soccer in general, and I think that's something FIFA needs to improve on, because, guys, they're talking about a 64 nation World Cup in 2030. I don't know what the hell they're
Yeah,
going to be
and let
doing
me
with
and let
that.
me say this too, Luis. The other thing that I don't like about what FIFA's doing with this is that they're silently not giving refs games the rest of the tournament. Like there's refs that have come out that have basically been like, "Hey, I wasn't assigned any more matches for the remainder of the tournament," and that's their way to kind of be like, "Hey, I know obviously there's only so much finite spots left, but some of the officials we found out have basically been told like, we didn't love your performance. Okay, you're done." Another way that FIFA can be more transparent is, and this is something that surprisingly Pro does pretty well. I know this is going to be a shock to a lot of people because I don't like Pro fundamentally, but there are a few things they do right,
Yeah.
and one of the few things they do right is they do a review of the week of all the kind of like close calls in MLS, or they used to. I think they still do, but they do like this thing. And if you guys don't know, during the week, their refs are required to go back to Pro headquarters and they review their games and basically go over like, hey, this call was wrong, this call should have been this should have been corrected, and they do it in the hopes to make themselves better. Now you can argue whether or not it actually makes them better, but that's what's supposed to happen, right, to make them better. FIFA can't really pull that though to a degree, because part of the problem is it turns into a thing of like, these refs don't belong to FIFA week in and week out, right? They belong to other federations. They're doled out to the Brazilian league or to La Liga or to the Premier League or wherever they're from, right? They're in a bunch of different leagues across the world. So FIFA can only go so far into saying like, yeah, we could review this with you, but like, is it gonna matter if there's only so many games left, or is it gonna matter where maybe in 4 years you're not officiating a World Cup in 4 years because you're retired or you're doing something else? So, but for transparency's sake, to get to the end of my point here, I think the better way to do it is to say, is for FIFA to come out and just say, hey, we reviewed these various performances from this round, and we believe a correction should be made here, a correction should be made there, and refs should be open to that, because other sports do that, right? Sports like rugby, cricket, and other things like that
Well,
will go out there and say those things. I know that's hard because you don't want to throw anyone under the bus per se, but the only way we get better is by being transparent, right? That's the whole
well,
goal.
as technology has evolved, as rules of the sport have changed, And as you add more teams in a tournament that should probably be played with less teams already in itself, um, I mean, you're going to get these type of controversies. I mean,
Sure.
like, I mean, you have to understand. There's been goals scored with, with a hand. Then now it's folklore and people laugh about it. But
Right.
when it really happened, it wasn't as funny, right? But now it's folklore. Now it's even like regarded as something great, right? There's been, what happened in the United States in 2002, that you know literally handball by Torsten Frings from Germany, and the U.S. didn't go to semi. So there's always these controversies, but I think now it's super accentuated and hyperbolized, and it's exploding everywhere because we live in an era in which everybody has a cell phone, everybody has an opinion, right?
Sure.
And everybody has a mic to talk about it. Now, to some controversies, like the Breland Bolo red card, it's a controversy. Whether people agree or disagree, it is a controversy.
I
Even
let me
though
put this.
I feel he did deserve the card, in my opinion, just like you. I mean, I know it's unpopular, but I feel like he did,
Well,
deserve the
that's
card.
my thing, is that, like, for me it's not a controversy because I, by the letter
Right,
of the law,
right,
it's a card. Like, it
right.
has to be. Now let me say this, and I think this is where some people are missing. There was contact between the two players.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
there
see that
was.
in the video, you can see that in the picture. So
Now,
that's why I'm saying there's an opportunity where that isn't pure simulation. That is simply there was contact made. And that's why I'm saying the best discourse probably should have been no card to either side, and we just call the foul and for Argentina and keep moving, right? I think that's the way
yeah.
you call it.
So
But
the Balogun red card,
right.
Egypt's disallowed goal in the Argentinian Egypt. We could talk about Kylian Mbappe's denied penalty versus Senegal. We could also talk about Vinicius Jr. against Scotland. And a lot of offsides. I think this has been the World Cup of the offsides.
Right.
I mean, so many disallowed goals because of offside, but technology is right there to be implemented, right? So, um, again, I think it's
Well,
accentuated a little
another
more.
example too, England, right? They're right
Right.
back getting the card because his
I
foot
agree.
slips over the ball and goes into the ankle, right? There's a whole slew of them. And I see one of our listeners is in the chat basically saying, why aren't you mentioning this and why aren't you mentioning that?
Well, because he's from Argentina. He's from River Plate.
Right. And listen, let me say this. That's fine. We're all entitled to our opinion here, but what we're trying to say is, and again,
No,
the
we
contact is made
agree with
by.
him.
Right, but here's the thing.
That was the
It doesn't
funniest part.
matter. It doesn't matter that the contact is made by Embolo because it's a natural way that your leg is going to go when you're falling. He's not dragging his leg to try to get the foul. He's not moving his leg in an awkward position to try to draw contact. So you can spin that however you'd like to say that that's simulation, but I don't think that reaches the level of simulation from the amount of football I've watched. So that's fine. We can differ on opinion there, but also we've talked about a lot of the other things that have been controversial in this World Cup, like the tackle that I think they mentioned it earlier, the tackle on Vinny by Hakimi. I believe that also should have risen to the level. But what we're trying to get to the bigger point here is refereeing has been woefully, like, all over the place in this World Cup. And cards and VAR have really, if you think about it,
Yeah,
have not truly done their
but
job to try to, keep a level playing field.
right, it says I'm Argentine and you're anti-Messi. Clearly, look, man. Like, I'm a journalist, so and I know we live in an era in which you have to pick a side. Personally, I think Messi's a great player. I don't think he needs the help, but you have to call some of these things out sometimes. I will focus on the soccer part. We're going to talk about the really heavy part later on. But I mean, personally, like I said, I think FIFA is doing a disservice to the fans with some of these kind of weird rule book. You know what I mean? Like, kind of we just mentioned. I mean, the rule says that the Mbolo card was. I mean, the officiating was spot on there because they went by the book. Could it have been handled a little better? Of course, could have been handled a little different. to be a little bit more fair, 100%. But it's the rule book interpretation, right? So that's what I'm talking about here. It's just, I think he's just trolling. So, well, it's not a fact. Argentina has gotten the most VAR review calls in their favor in the World Cup. It's a factual thing you can look up.
Well, and
Well,
they're second in VAR intervention rates to only
100%.
Mexico. Mexico's the only other club that or country that has more VAR interventions per 100 fouls. So again, you take that for what it's worth there, but there has been the bigger point that we're trying to make is that officiating in general has been suspect at moments during this World Cup. And when it's especially when we're at the stage of the tournament where it's supposed to be the best of the best, we expect the same thing from our referees as well, right? We want the best of the best referees and the best of the best calls to be involved in these situations. We don't want games changed because we're not implementing VAR correctly, right? Or because or like I like to say, VAR shouldn't be interfering with the spirit of the game, which a good chunk of these World Cup calls have interfered with what we would call the spirit of the game.
Like, I guess what we're trying to say is be more consequential. So if the Egypt third goal that had Argentina like this, okay, por a Troya, anda, lo tenía metido así, clavado. They were sweating bullets because the third one of Egypt was coming. If that goal was not called off, we would have been talking about complete different bracket.
Sure.
Now, let me be completely factual here. If that was called off and a VAR was, hey, we got to go to VAR, then the Martinez foul against Switzerland in the box should have been also revised because that was WWE, bro. I mean, that was not only a pull of the shirt, but it was literally a tackle with no ball. So we're talking about being consequential, and I think that's where FIFA failed. There's no consequence sometimes in some of these actions, and I think that's the issue. It takes away from the fans, in my opinion. So it says when VAR is used, maybe except Argentina's fouls, we're not checking the VAR. It says, well, okay, we read that. It says there are controversies on other games other than Argentina's game, but Argentina is the one that gets the most calls in their favor. It says Portugal censor Vias to disallow Croatia's goal. Nothing to say about this. Well, that's also an issue. I mean, clearly, it happened against England, so it should have been.
But what you're doing at this point is you're flooding us with a bunch of different examples that we're not talking about here. We're talking about a very specific moments that change games. We're clearly not going to see eye to eye on this, and that's fine. But what I'm going to tell you at this point is the dislike that I might personally have for Messi, because yes, he plays for my rival, down the street, is not factoring into this. What's factoring into this is that, and you can't sit here and say that all VAR calls were by the book. That's delusional. I'm sorry, but it is. We've already explained in so many ways how it's not. So enough with that, okay? We're not going to see eye to eye on it. I'm just going to be honest. This might not be the section for you. I don't know what to tell you.
No, definitely no. Now, moving away from that. Now, sure. I have two important info about.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is going to affect anything coming up. Again, the powers that be, I really don't think so. I don't think it shouldn't. But I hear almost no people with big voices that are covering the World Cup ever touching this. Mm-hmm. And I think it needs to be said what it's being reported. And RT friends have talked about it already. I know that CNN is going to do a video or a little documentary about it at some point. Mm-hmm. We've had some South American outlets, Diario La Nación from Argentina. They are the ones who opened the can of worms. But La AFA, which is the Argentinian Federation, it's being investigated by the FBI and by the Department of Justice of the United States.
Right.
Or apparently they're trying to see creating a kind of like a fake kind of business
Hmm.
to siphon and to transfer over 300 million bucks, and spreading it over in American banks. And the president of the federation, it's being, and his partners are being kind of, you know, and FIFA is helping Argentina with some of the lawyering stuff, but it's ongoing right now. And
Sure.
with that, today, a French journalist uncovered a really big thing, which I don't know if it's going to again affect, but one of the biggest sponsors of the World Cup, ADI Sports Betting or something like that. It's a sports betting, like kind of like Polymarket, but for Europe.
Sure.
These people are banned in several countries,
Mm.
and FIFA took $160 million for sponsorship, and they are on all stadiums.
Sure.
And the questioning is here, these people have been known for, and some of their partners and businesses that are within this ADI company have been shunned in Europe for max fixation,
Hmm.
for sports betting, for money laundering, and even its own president, it's been banned for several countries. Why is FIFA doing dealings with this type of people? You
Sure.
know what I mean? I understand
Yeah.
they're a private entity, but it just takes away, it makes they're kind of in a way inviting for conspiracies to arise.
Hmm.
That's my problem, because it takes away from the beautiful game in a way, and no one's talking about it, because if you say it, then you're a Ronaldo fan, and I really don't care about Ronaldo. I mean, I really don't, and it's not that. And I think it needs to be said. I mean, it is, it's,
Well, and
we're in
Luis,
a
let me
world in which everyone now has a microphone, man.
right. And let me say this too. I mean, part of why the FBI investigation probably gets a little bit stronger in terms of opening one in the first place is that they just recently moved their headquarters to Miami, right? If I'm not mistaken. And so
Exactly. Exactly.
that's probably what opened the door for the FBI to say, "Hey, we're going to
100%.
look into this, right? A little bit because if they don't move their headquarters to Miami, it makes it harder for them to maybe open up the books as much as they want to in this
Yeah.
case."
So what happened was the money that they won. So the loot that Argentina got in 2022 by FIFA, the
Mhm.
prize money was $300 million.
Okay.
In 2021, 4 months after they won the World Cup, okay,
Mhm.
Infantino had to transfer them that money. And so a company was created in the United States in Miami called Tour Prod Enter LLC. You can check it out. It's on public record.
Okay.
And that company, all of a sudden, the Federation of Argentina named them their sponsor, the number one company that's going to handle all their dealings worldwide,
Mhm.
based in Miami.
Mm.
So Infantino transfer that money into that company.
Mhm.
And so out of that company that right now it's being audited,
Sure.
there's 60 million bucks that they just Chris, disappeared. Mind freak, Chris Angel, they disappeared. And
Yeah.
so that alerted American authorities to see what's happening. Because there are, for example,
Mhm.
steak houses being opened in Florida and in New York under the Argentine Federation.
Hmm.
Why are steak houses? Why does a federation need steak houses? So there's a lot of
I
things
don't know. I mean, their
that
steak's
are
good from what I
right.
hear,
Right. I
so
mean, Argentinian food is one of the best in the world, but I mean,
I was
either
going to say
way, I'm just
right.
saying, like, you know what I mean?
Well, and
Like,
Luis, this goes to the bigger point of like FIFA continues to have these corrupt leaders at the top that are just like how many of these guys, I mean, let me say this, is it because of the position that they're in? It's just because you have so much power that it's easy to just I
It's
don't know, siphon some
and I
on the
want to
top or
say
do this or do that.
this does not reflect on Argentinian people and should not reflect on Messi. They
I
have
don't
nothing
see
to
it
do with
that
it.
way. Yeah, I don't see it
Yeah,
that
I mean,
way.
they have not. This has two names that have been named. Is the president of the Argentine Federation, Chiqui Tapia. He's the guy who's being like, boo, pointed out. You know, what I'm
Sure.
afraid of is
Hmm.
that people are going to be using this, and it happens. People don't want to talk about it because, oh my God, we're in the World Cup. We can't talk about this. But you got to talk about it because if these people committed a crime, you think they need to go to jail. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah,
takes
for sure.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
I think no Argentinian wants their team to be seen as corrupt or they're into this black dirty money
Right.
stuff, right? Of
Yeah, you don't
course
want an
not.
asterisk next to
Right.
your yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you need to step away from that. You need to stay. They need those people to go away and
Right.
regain, what Argentina is as a team, right? The problem is this guy is everywhere, and he's very well liked. And again, Infantino, it's helping him out with the lawyering. I don't know where it's going to get Argentina,
Sure.
but again, it's something that it's happening right now as we speak. Now,
Right.
talking about the brackets, we're gonna read some comments real quick. It says, "Is Chiquitapia Chiqui isn't liked already?" Yeah, I know that. They really do have the best steak. It's fantastic. Oh yeah, no, they have the best food. I don't want to be biased. I know Peruvian food is great, but I think Argentinian food, I think I like it much better, to be honest with you. It says, I already did. I mean, we bought the World Cup. You should do it too. It says, I don't know, man. I don't
Yeah,
know,
they're
man.
talking about betting. They're talking about betting and
Oh, but
putting the
oh,
house on
oh,
Argentina to win the whole thing. Yeah, that's what they were talking about.
well, I mean, there's people doing their bets. So, I mean, but let's talk about the sport because I think that's when people need to talk about it a little more. Um, all right, so we have pretty much two more games and three more games total.
Four. There's a third
Four,
place
four
game.
more games.
Yeah,
Four
there's a
more
third place
games.
game.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, France, Spain. Um, look, man, I think, oh, man, it's just that I feel like Spain has not been able to tap on. I mean, if there's one team that has owned France in the Euros in a different tournaments, has been
Yeah.
Spain.
Okay.
That's why this champs today, their coach said, "Hey, you know what? I really respect Spain. I think they've beat us before, and they can do it again.
Hmm.
I think they're the favorites." That's what the French coach said today in an interview.
Sure.
Um, Look, man, I think this is going to be at the death, but I have a feeling France is just too talented, man. I mean, the depth they have. I mean, they can make two teams both participate in the World Cup, and they can both get into the final.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's why, like, as much as I like Spain and some of the pieces that Spain has, and obviously Spain's going to be around for a while because Yamin Yamal is 19 years old.
Right.
They have all this other young talent. It's just like you said, France could build two teams and both of them could meet in the final. That is honestly like how good this French team is, and so for me, I'm just going to throw this out there. I think it's a 3-1 France win. I think France is able to find two games of separation, and I think they find a way to just show Spain that, hey, you just don't have the quality of top end talent that we do right now.
Yeah, I mean they're just super dominant, like Landon said. I think they are. I mean, Mbappe's in a. I mean, look, if it's not Mbappe who shows up to the party, it's Dembele, and if Dembele's not showing up to the party, it's Michael Olise, and if Michael, so it's just the talent is insane, dude. It's just now with Spain, they do have also really great talent. It's just that they don't show up sometimes. Like, you have a Fabian Ruiz goal, you can have a Cucurella, great strike, you can have a Oryazabal coming up. Obviously, I mean, if you compare piece to piece and carrots to carrots, I mean, Oryazabal versus Mbappe, of course, Mbappe is 30 million times better than
Luis,
Oryazabal.
you know what I think Spain has missed this entire tournament. I'm curious to see if our viewers feel the same way, but like they don't have a pure like prolific striker that's helping like raise their level for them. Like, you know, they've had a few guys that have been good, but nobody's that's been truly great to try to put them over the top, because these great teams have like a striker in front or somebody close to their attack that just like can take over a game. And I'm not trying to diminish like Yamal at all or anything like that, but they just don't have that. And when you like look across the way, obviously in this matchup, you've got Mbappe who is going, punch for punch with all the other strikers and attackers in this tournament. And I think it's just hard to try to compete with that. And again, like I said, Spain for the most part in certain positions is young, so they'll be back around this time in 4 years, right? And at that point, hopefully, if they're lucky, they'll have a couple more pieces to add onto it as well. But yeah, this will be an interesting match for sure. But I still think, and again, it's going to be in a Von Barton match, so buckle up, everybody who's watched this guy ref before.
Worst refs. So this is Argentina's fault that Uruguay blew it and Portugal couldn't finish first in the group. I think you're talking about Dolphins' question about the Argentina has had the easiest path, and if it wasn't for favorable calls, they almost lost to every team they faced in knockout rounds. I mean, they have not faced, and this is factual. I mean, I'm not trying to stir some controversy here. But I mean, what do you think about this? They haven't faced a top 10 ranked team until England.
But for me, it's luck of the draw, man. Like you just get lucky with your draw, you get lucky with your draw. Like I mean, it just like you play the team that's in front of you, you beat the team that's in front of you. That's the name of the tournament. I feel
it's gonna get worse, guys, when they increase the number of teams.
Because it'll be interesting on that. It'll be interesting on that.
Because you have to understand, when they increase the number of teams, on a personal level, I feel the quality goes down. And
it could, yeah, it could.
Because now you're gonna have out of CONMEBOL, for example, you gotta be just utterly trash not to qualify, because literally, out of 10, 8 are gonna go, plus 1 is gonna go to international playoff.
Sure.
And then there's gonna be only one team that's just it's trash, completely trash, right? Yeah. So, I mean, also you're gonna have some of the stuff happening from Africa and in Europe and Asia. So, guys, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that keeps happening. You know what I mean? Now let's talk about England, Argentina, man. To me, because I'm South American, I mean, this is more than just a game. And I know Scaloni is saying it's not a war.
Sure.
And obviously, because he's a coach, he's never gonna. I mean, he has to be politically correct, guys. I mean, but deep down, he knows that this is more than a game. I mean, I think Argentinians and ties in with Peru a lot of Peruvians too that fought that war, helping Argentina feel a little closeness on there, and obviously Argentina wants to beat England, and they're gonna do probably everything in their power. Now, I feel on a personal level that the backpack full of rocks, that heavy weight, it's on England's shoulders. I mean, they haven't won a big one for over 60 years. So they have the sentiment of all English people. They're carrying all that hope, and they're playing amazing soccer. They're a very good team, but they're going to have to fight with that. They're going to have to show that they can carry that weight. And that's going to be, I think, the biggest hurdle, because Argentina, guys, is going to come for the jugular, man. They're going to go for the throat. They're going to start pouncing right away. So I think England here, that's going to, we need to see. I mean, if it's going to come home, they got to have that edge. And what better game to show that edge, that dominance, that they're poised for big things as a squad and as a country. This is the stage. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than an England-Argentina game. I mean, I've met many British people always complaining about what happened with Maradona in '86 and the hand of God and all that stuff. And obviously the whole thing that happened with that, the Beckham red card. And so now is your chance, England. This is the test you've been waiting for. This is a turning point event to become a multi World Cup champion caliber team, World Cup champion team, winning several cups. So it's a turning
Mhm.
point for the English Federation, or a loss here could set you back even further, and people
Yeah.
are going to call
And
you
let
that you
me
choked.
let me say this from the other side. The benefit that Argentina has is they've been here before, right? And recently. So this is to me, and to your point, I think you're right. I think the big pressure is on England because they've been talking about since the beginning of this tournament that they are a force to be reckoned with, right? They've been talking about that since the beginning. This is their opportunity to prove to those people that they are up for the
Yeah.
opportunity. But again, Argentina has was just here 4 years ago, right? They this is the path, the obviously the path they took to get there. They beat the opponents that were in front of them and made to the final and won the final, right? So that's something that England has not been able to do, obviously, in the last, whenever, right? And so to me, I think this game becomes chippy. I think it becomes feisty. I don't know who the official is for this one. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but like this game's going to be tough. It's going to be hard fought. I think this game to me smells of an extra time kind of thing. I don't know if it gets done in 90. I could very much see this game being brought to extra time and these teams having to play 120 minutes to figure it out. But I do think it does eventually get figured out before getting to penalties. Because to me, I think penalties are the wrong way for this game to end. I would be disappointed, let me put it that way, if penalties were the way that this game ended. I think one of the teams needs to topple the other one, if that makes sense.
I don't think they're ever going to put a Peruvian referee for this game, although it will be hilarious and I will laugh so hard because probably whoever decided doesn't know the history between Argentina and Peru and England when it came to the Falkland Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it'll be funny, and obviously it would be people are going to be saying that it's another controversy that's trying to favor Argentina for sure. But I think that England's approach under Tuchel, I call him Tuchel, but whatever, he 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 had to handle a lot of situations, even in the post press conference. Tuchel came out after playing Norway, and he said, "I'm not happy with how the team played today. I
Mm-hmm.
think we're a better team. I think we could have dominated this a little better. I think we were." He was like really critical of his players.
Sure.
And then when we asked Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane about what happened, and Spence what happened, what Tuchel said, their faces said it all. They looked pissed. They're like, we disagree completely with the coach, and that's his thing. Even Jude said that's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna praise the players. I think we fought hard. I think we got the big win. We play against a really tough team
Right.
that also deservedly got to this stage. And
Yeah.
I think we completely disagree with the coach. So just with that, fighting that uphill battle with Tuchel, which he could be complicated, then
Sure.
also not calling and kind of fighting with British media, because there's a lot of British media questioning why not calling Cole Palmer, certain players that they haven't called, right? And sticking with his group, you know?
Yeah, but at this point, I just don't think it's worth talking about anymore. Like the guys who are here are the guys that are here, you know.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you, but I mean, there's still. I mean, I've heard it on the questions that they asked him,
sure,
right?
no, I get
So
it. I
so
get
it
it.
is it is. I mean, I agree with you. I think it shouldn't matter, but I
Right.
just think that England's best strength here is going to be the aggressive pressing, being clear on the set pieces, the physical strength. I
Mm-hmm.
think Declan Rice needs to play the 120 minutes. I think he needs to be in his best game of his career because
Sure.
he's going to be the man who's going to have to lead the tune to disrupt the Argentinian mid, which they
Sure.
know how to play with each other by memory, by muscle memory,
Right.
essentially. So
Well, let me say this, Luis. I think for both sides, the question will be which number 10 comes out on top, right? Is this going to be a game where Messi can take over the game and just run roughshod on England's midfield and defense and, put England to bed and say, good night, sorry, you couldn't get it done? Or is this going to be another Jude Bellingham game where Jude can kind of step up and kind of like he has the last few rounds, kind of put England on his back and said, hey, if it's not Harry Kane today, don't worry, I've got it, right? And then the other question I think for England, and obviously our good friend John Rollins and things like that are going to probably talk about this deeper or already have, but like, who is the starter for them on the right wing? Saka has not been it this tournament, right?
Yeah,
In
he's
this
been.
game, you need your wing play to give you something here on the right hand side. Gordon's been good. I don't want to take anything away from
Gordon
him.
has been in another level, dude.
Yeah,
Barcelona
but
is gonna
that
love
right
that.
hand
Yeah,
side though, they haven't been able to really seem to figure it
yeah.
out, right? So the question for me is, can you figure it out? Can you have multiple options that are running at that Argentinian back line and creating problems and issues for them? Because if you can, then I think you change the game fundamentally, right? But if you can't, and you're just depending on Jude to have moments of brilliance still, and that's what's going to carry you through. I don't think that that's what this game is going to call for. I think you're going to need a group effort from these guys to figure it out. Again, like, is somebody like a Marcus Rashford, is he better to start in this one to be more direct and try to change the game that way? I don't know. There's a few questions that you can ask of yourself what that looks like, but and I want to thank Landon and Tom who told me who the ref was, because apparently it's Elfaf for this one. So Ishmael Alfaf is going to have his hands full the entire match on how to control this game. Because, like I said before, it's going to get chippy, it's going to get nasty at some point. And if this game goes into extra time, which I truly feel like it could, it's going to be a long game for him to officiate. So it's going to be really interesting to see. To me, I know Tom kind of said earlier that he felt like tomorrow's game is basically the World Cup final. I don't know. This England Argentina game to me is tasty as all can be. I think this might be the better game between the next two games.
So I'm gonna hit back. I understand that they posted that comment, so let me shed some light into it because I have the communications from media. I know Ishmael Elfaf. He is part of the refs that have been retained by FIFA for the final stages of the tournament, but his assignment has not been yet confirmed. Now, obviously,
Okay.
that leads into speculation about his involvement in this particular match, but it's not being confirmed just yet by FIFA. Now, I do want to mention that, but now I agree with you. I think it's going to be, to me, it's the biggest game. It's bigger than the France Spain game by far, and I think again, and I this is a turning point for England, in my opinion. So obviously, this is going to be the second star on their crest if they win it. In my opinion, I think if they have a huge responsibility to give their their country a massive win, a final after many years. But then also they have to win the final, right? And so because
Yeah.
it's not going to be enough, people never remember the the third place, right? Or the second place, right? They remember the winner. So I think that's the
True. These countries care because they get money for being third place versus everything else. So,
yeah, I'm
but
sure, but I
yeah,
think
in
for
terms of like
England,
remembering for sure, yeah.
yeah, for England, I mean, especially against Argentina, they want to win, and I think it could be a really good tournament because look, if England comes out of this tournament as world champs,
Hmm.
let me tell you, I don't think there's anything that could stop this English team. I mean, they're going to be a contender for many World Cups, and I think if they, let's say, I can tell you right now, if they fail, I think Tuchel's going to go, right? So it's going to be there's going to be some dissatisfaction with some of the players and who are they going to bring up? And I do agree with some of the people here in the chat. It says here, why on earth would you put a German to manage the English team? I'm conservative like that too. So, like for example, what happened with Ancelotti in Brazil, I think that was insane. Like I think you should have kept it with a Brazilian coach, in my opinion. But again, it's because maybe some of these players play in Europe, and so they're more used to that European kind of, I mean, Bellingham kind of did um, he played for Dortmund, right? So he's used to also that German, tactical savviness. And I guess that probably was looking to Tuchel. Go ahead, man. You want to say something, David?
No, I was just gonna say it could just simply be, they went this what their string of their last few managers. I think the bigger thing that I'm gonna say is I think they probably just looked and said, who's a big manager that's out there that we think tactically can move us in a different direction. And that's, I think, what Tuchel has attempted to try to do. The problem is, I think some of these players, and you've kind of pointed to it based on like the post game pressers and stuff, I think it's very much turned into these players are going to do what they do best, right? How they compete for their clubs and all that kind of stuff. And really, at this point, good managers at the World Cup level are just trying to wrangle all these guys together and find a way to make all 11 sing at the same time. And so I think it's weird. I think for a lot of people, Tuchel was an interesting choice. But I think that's maybe what England was going for. But I don't know. I think the Federation, especially if England can't get it done, we'll have some questions asked of them for sure.
So let's give our predictions. I don't know if you want to. For the Spain France, you said 3-1 France.
3-1 for me. Yeah.
I think this is gonna go. I think this is gonna go to penalties, man. I think this is gonna go to penalties,
Okay.
and I think France win it on penalties.
Interesting. Okay.
I think France win it on penalties, and I think Lamine Jamal kicks one and outside. Yeah, I think he has a lot.
Okay.
I think France goes through, but in penalties. Now, England and Argentina.
I'm going 2-1 England in extra time. I think Jude Bellingham gets one late in extra time, and that's what seals it.
All right, I'm gonna go for. Golly. All right, guys. I think it's gonna be 3-2 England, and it's going to be also in extra time. I think it's gonna be 2 goals by Argentina, but I think England pulls it through. Now, but it could. I mean, again, it's a prediction, but I mean, it's gonna be a beautiful game.
Can I predict another thing? I predict that there very well could be a red card in this match as well.
I agree too.
I think there could very much be a red card in this match.
Yeah. 100%. So if you like betting,
especially if Alfaf ends up getting confirmed as the ref, which again, like you said, we're not sure yet, but if he does get confirmed as the ref, again, I think it's very likely that there's a red card in this match.
And then the final, now think about it. If Argentina wins, goes into the final, probably face the winner of definitely France and Spain. They're going to be playing in New York City. Well, New York, New Jersey, right? It will be funny if it's England and the US just turned 250 years. You imagine the English winning a World Cup in America's birthday? That is weird.
I'm sure the England fans would love that.
Right, I know English fans will love that. But then the third place is going to be in Miami, and we're definitely going to be there. And so it's definitely going to be it's going to be an amazing last 2 games. I think these are games that are going to be fought to the death. I think all 4 teams have tremendous quality in different levels, and I mean that Atlanta stadium is going to be insane, dude. That's going to be crazy. What I do ask people though, guys, let's be civil. Let's not fight. You know what I mean? There's going to be a heavy police activity. There was a huge police activity for the Norway game, and I was surprised how many policemen there were there, ICE agents and things like that. I mean, it was like insane. Now, I don't know. I understand, passion and all of that, but I think we need to just love the game. I think it's going to be a beautiful game. I think it was phenomenal, but just keep it civil, guys. I mean, So some people getting riled up to the point that Messi dulled England fans. Okay, Jesus, people are fighting in the chat, man. All right, so um, let's teleport to Orlando City because we're starting back out with Orlando City, and clearly, I'm excited for MLS to be back. Did you see the spot that Garber said it was going to be a surprise, right?
Yeah, I don't love how all that was painted. I think that was really dumb. I thought the surprise was going to be something like, "Oh, we're
Right?
changing something with the league, or we're doing something different here." But no, it was like we paid millions of dollars for this ad spot, and we think it's all
Yeah.
these teams are going to have their different pieces. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but the whole league, each team was putting out certain stuff that they clearly had been told to prepare for the MLS is back kind of thing. But Luis, here's the bigger question about this ad campaign, which whatever, I'm not against the league doing an ad campaign,
Yeah.
but why didn't you start this during the World Cup? Like why weren't you running MLS ads during the World Cup and not towards the end of the World Cup? Like what if MLS paid for a couple of spots on Fox and was able to do an MLS ad on Fox to try to get more people to watch MLS after the World Cup is done?
Because we have
Seems really
people
silly to me. I don't
we
know.
have we have people that don't can't think marketing, you know what I mean? I mean, we have people in positions. I've seen other clubs, and knowledge of soccer is not required for some of the certain positions. And I
Yeah.
think if you want to make a better league, you need to have people that know soccer in and out. I mean, I know it sounds kind of bad what I'm about to say, but I think it's true. I mean, it's cool if you like college football and you like, but if that's your number one thing that you watch all the time and you really don't care about soccer and that's another job for you,
Right.
I mean, for a developed league, like a league that's developing, I think that, I mean, you're not gonna feel it just like somebody that lives soccer is gonna live it. So I think Garber missed a huge opportunity. I mean, not only that,
100%.
Messi is going to the possibly a final again. So it's insane.
Would have
Now,
been a it would have been a great it would have been a great advertisement for the league if Argentina make it to the final, even just the final. They don't have to win the whole thing, but if he makes it to the final, it's a great advertisement for the league to put commercials out there and say this guy's been playing in MLS for the last X amount of years. MLS is the league to be in. And then with that should have been, let's relax some of the salary restrictions. Let's relax some of the roster restrictions. But we didn't get any of that. They didn't work on any of this. And they knew the World Cup was coming for as long as they did. This isn't a surprise to anybody in Major League Soccer. And so I think it's a huge missed opportunity that some of these players that we could have convinced to maybe stay here, we're not going to get a chance to convince to stay here anymore.
now, another thing is they recorded this before Antoine Griezmann even came to the United States.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, you could
So,
tell. You could tell from the
you
effort.
had to
Yeah.
put him in a freaking fish tank,
Right.
right? So,
Though it was cool that
but
they did his little thing with the
yeah,
little like
the little bobblehead and stuff, which
that was
says,
cool.
I'm hoping that Orlando City is working on a bobblehead for Antoine Griezmann. I'm
Be
sure,
cool. Yeah, it'd be cool.
right? But I mean, I just be completely honest with you. There's a lot of things that are going to make the MLS much bigger. I'm on board with you. I felt that they were going to announce an extra DP spot and give Ricardo Moreira more work to do, or maybe Garber bucks from some of the teams. Announcing new partnership deal. Everybody gets its own
Right.
sponsor. I thought it was going to be something a little bit on those sorts.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and they
but
have don't forget, Luis, they have a chat on Thursday, I think it is. It's like Don Garber, two other executives, and then Antoine Griezmann is going to be there apparently.
yeah, so yeah, that's what I was going to bring to that. So there's going to be, and I was invited, but you have to go to New York.
Right.
so
Right.
I'm going to read it verbatim. So this is per media. It says like this: as the world's attention shifts from the World Cup back to club soccer, on July 16th, MLS will host the next chapter, a marquee event highlighting the league's vision for the future, and the MLS restart on July the 16th. Starting at 3:30 p.m., the event will feature conversations centered on the next era of MLS, including the arrival of world-class talent. Um, Don Garber is going to be present. Antoine Griezmann of Orlando City, Orlando City's new DP, and 2018 FIFA World Cup champion. Michael Bradley, head coach of the New Red Bulls. Brad Sims, the CEO of New York City FC, and additional special guests. It says here doors open at 2:30. It's going to be in Penn Plaza, New York City. Right here. That's it. No.
I don't
Look,
think
man.
I don't think anything interesting comes out of that either, to be honest with you.
On a personal level, I think the Apple TV thing should go away. I think
Interesting.
I think this whole thing is not working. I think it should be on like a bigger, like a national ESPN was fine. I feel like.
But the game quality wasn't. The reason why they left ESPN and Fox Sports and all them is because the quality of the games and the cameras in the stadium, they just weren't keeping up with. The one thing you got to give Apple credit for, I don't agree that it should be behind a paywall. I don't agree that and then of course the first couple years it was behind like an extra paywall behind Apple TV. One thing Apple did do though is that they forced these stadiums to have better cameras, more cameras, more interactive parts of the game, right? Which Fox and ESPN and all these other channels that they were on before weren't doing, right? You were having to catch it on your local station. Here it was like, what was it, My 32 or whatever it was in Orlando or whatever it was. I'm not hitting against those guys. It's not those guys' fault, but like nobody was willing to push the quality of the sort of event, like the match day from when you're sitting on your couch. Nobody's looking to improve that. And so I want to give credit to Apple for that, but I do agree with you at this point, putting it behind a wall is just tough. Like it's hard to try to convince people. Honestly, what MLS should do is give a reduced rate for the rest of the season, or just make the rest of the season free for people to watch it.
I agree. I mean, you need more eyes. And as IPTV keeps growing, less people are going to pay for Apple TV. So you have to give people more bang for their buck. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't just. So, I mean, that's something that they're going to have to do. Also, it would be great, although it's wishful thinking. Mm-hmm. We just, give you the Vince McMahon. I just now own USL. I own my competition. Kind of like the WCW era, right? When they bought WCW,
and then the Pro Rel folks will
right?
start
And
getting
now the MLS is going to span to like all these number of teams, because USL is opening a stadium in Melbourne. Melbourne's going to get a USL team.
Are they going to play in the championship level of USL?
Yeah, 8,000 seater. 8,000 seater stadium with like a garden and
Heath is a part of that, right? Adrian Heath.
Yeah. So they're gonna they're gonna tap on that nostalgia and shit. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting because again, like I feel
good for
like
Melbourne, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like there's an opportunity being missed here. I know we've talked about this a lot, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like this would have been a perfect opportunity to say, like, even if Don Garber were to go up there and say, hey, we're giving everybody $2 million more for GAM, like for the rest of the season. Here's $2 million GAM, everyone can have it, right? Or if they did something like have an extra DP spot, or we're getting rid of international roster designations, because that hasn't worked at all for its intended purpose. Like, great, but he didn't do any of that. And I get some of it requires to get with the CBA. And get with the Players Association, because you can't just change everything. You have to work with the Players Association. But they could have easily gone to them and said, hey, we're going to add a fourth DP spot, and we're going to give teams extra GAM, but when your contract comes up next year, we're going to give you a better starting minimum salary, and we're going to give you more options for you to make more money, and we're going to make it more easy for you to be a free agent in the league. Things like that they could have given away at the next, because they're about to have a contract negotiation for the next CBA. Because remember, the CBA expires after the sprint season, I believe.
Yeah.
So they have to start discussing it basically now to try to get that worked out.
Yeah,
So
I heard they're also on the talks of switching like sponsorship, like the Adidas sponsorship
I was gonna say
maybe.
kit sponsorships up for
Yeah,
for
so
debate. Yeah.
so what's happening is there's a lot of people within the board of MLS that want for each team to have its own sponsor.
Yeah, and I don't think that's gonna happen
I highly doubt it. And
because the league's gonna want to control that.
Garber is completely against that. Now
Yeah.
there is some companies that are willing to, offer, like for example, Nike is like salivating, like
Well, they have
they want
NWSL right now, right?
right now. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem though. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
But I mean, we could be living if Nike offers the right money and they go with what Garber wants and everybody switches to Nike. You're talking about
Yeah.
NWSL and MLS.
Yeah, and you could have not just them. You could have Puma. You could have
Yeah.
Under Armour. You could have a whole bunch of
You could have
different
we could have
ones that'll come to
Charlie
bid.
from Mexico. Charlie.
Okay, yeah. There's
Hey,
just
if they
there's just
offer the
yeah.
right
There's going to be a ton of different
right
options. So I'm curious to see
New
what that bidding
Balance.
process will look like. Because again, as the league continues to grow, obviously Nike would probably love to get Messi in a Nike kit, right? Like Nike's going to be printing money if they're able to pull
Well,
that
I
off,
think
right?
Messi. That's one of the things with a Messi and Adidas
He gets a cut. Yeah, he gets a cut.
because he get
Yeah,
yeah, and so I don't
yeah.
know. Again, this is well, as long as Brazil loses, I'll be happy too. They won trophies with Avalanche and Bladder. Jeez, come on, man.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, but to correct myself a little bit, apparently the CBA is not up until January of 2028. But the problem is, I think you have to get it solved in the sprint season because the next season, obviously, we switch to the European calendar. So I don't think you can start the 27-28 season without getting close to a CBA agreement, right? Because then you'll get to January next year, and then what are you going to do? Get a stoppage in the middle of the
100%.
season? Because you don't get that worked out, you're going to have to start working on it now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go on strike.
So
You imagine
it'll be
Griezmann.
really interesting to see how that works. Well, and MLB is about to do the same thing, right? Major League Baseball, not to like completely switch up, but they're about to go through a CBA negotiation, which is most likely going to result in a strike. So,
Orlando Dreamers.
well, we're far away from that, but
As long as Argentina loses, I'll be happy, says Kenneth. There you go, Kenneth. It says, true by Buenos Aires. That's why I rarely watch those and only watch MLS and WSL. No, I mean, the Argentina League, it's fun to watch, man. But I've watched those three also. Brasileirao was really good too. Open Cup away at Melbourne. It'll
be
be
fun.
closer to go
Yeah,
to
it'd be fun.
Naples. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Bro, give it a rest already. We're on the MLS Orlando City talk. So let's talk about Orlando City.
Sure.
And now we've kind of talked about, MLS. Now there's a couple of news that we have to kind of talk about. The first one, it's what I posted this morning. Where is the right here? Okay, there. No, that's us right here. So I was looking into when chat with some journalists, and I saw this by Diario Marca, and I thought that was important to share. So they said that Santi Jimenez, unfortunately, is going to remain at AC Milan. His injury is confirmed to be about 8 weeks plus the recovery phase. So probably more than 8 weeks.
That guy's going to be so deep on the bench
Exactly.
by the time he gets back.
So right now, the closest two things, according to Marca, according to Marca,
Yeah.
the two things Santi had going was a Porto loan off. It was a loan offer with an option.
Yes.
And an Orlando City offer on the table, essentially.
Right.
Those have because they have to advise, and the agent probably was asked, how long does Santi has. Both of them are out the picture now, so he's with nothing essentially. So
Right.
he went back to his his agent, and the agent confirmed with Marca that his Santi will stay with being Gonzalo Ramos's backup, and is going to try to win Ruben Amorim, which is the new manager for Milan. His good graces once he recovers from injury, but he's going to stay with Milan because clearly Orlando doesn't want technically a player that's right now injured, right? What are your thoughts on those news? I would have loved for him to come, but
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be quite honest with our listeners. Once you kind of buried it with what you had heard, I didn't really think much about it. And then once I saw him get injured in that Mexico game, I was like, "There's no way he's moving at this point." So, what I will say though is, I think he's going to end up so far down the pecking order at AC Milan.
yeah,
Somebody is going to get him for cheaper than they were expecting to, because eventually AC Milan's just going to want to offload him at some point. I'll tell you this, I don't think it'll be Orlando City. I don't think Orlando City comes back in for him. I think if he's done at this point, he's done. The only other player that we've seen Orlando City maybe flirt with of going back in for has been Richarlison. But with Richarlison, there's the Brazilian connection that we can always point to with Orlando City. So I would be shocked if Santi Jimenez was a legitimate rumor going forward for Orlando City. I think Orlando City is going to move their eyes somewhere else.
yeah, me too. I agree with you there.
Especially if they're still looking to fill that hole of like prolific attacker. Like if they're still looking to add one more, you're not going to wait for Santi to get healthy. You're going to, like, they're not going to come back in before the sprint season and add him. You're going to want to add somebody now while Europe is out and while you can, obviously, with Griezmann coming in and being able to kind of reload for Orlando City, really. Because we're about to get to Pasalic, but you could upgrade, and that's not an insult to Pasalic, but you could upgrade on that spot. And so you're not going to wait. You're not going to wait for that. You're going to want to upgrade now if you can.
Josh says, since we're losing Marco Pasalic to Hull City, come on, man. We don't even know yet.
It's not,
Do,
yeah, we're
yeah,
in the
do
early
you
stages still.
do
We're
you
in the early
think
stages
we
still.
should get another striker and winger? It is good to see us getting a backup, a left back.
I beg to differ on the left back thing. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk in just a second.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But what I will say, and I was kind of getting to this, Luis, is with Marco Pasalic out, that means that opens up a DP spot for us, which Luis and I have been on that for the longest time, right? That Marco wants to go back to Europe. He's made it very clear he wants to go back to Europe. And now the stars kind of align because the coach of Hull City knows Marco Pasalic pretty well, right? A few Croatian players fairly well. And Hull City just announced today that they have a 200 million euro transfer budget for this window. So they got money to spend, right? Because they got that Premier League money now. So they can go out and spend. So to get a Marco Pasalic for, and I believe this source said it was for at least 7 million euros.
7 million euros
was the number there. So that's about 8 million USD. Orlando City, depending on how much Hull City really wants him, could talk them up to 10 million maybe, or maybe they add on a sell-on clause to that to have something for a little bit later. It depends on how Orlando City wants to do that. But again, as Luis said, we're early days. Nothing has exchanged hands as far as we know. Right. The one thing that we do know is that Marco is still in Europe. You can see that from his social media. That's not a secret, right? But also, if you guys didn't know, all the World Cup participants got the week off after they were eliminated from the World Cup. So that's one. I can't remember if that's an MLS rule or a FIFA rule, but you basically have to take a week off after you come back from the World Cup, and then you can start getting back into activities again. That's why you haven't seen Brian Ojeda. That's why you haven't seen Maxime Crepeau. They're all stateside from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Pasalic, though, has not been. He's still in Europe. He's been in Croatia. So listen, if this aligns, then great. Good for him. Orlando City gets a bunch of money out of it. But the question becomes then at this point, where does Orlando City look? And I think there's kind of two spots you can look at. You go out and you get a prolific striker that can play up top and let Tincho and Griezmann move around them and kind of find space. Or maybe you go a little bit differently. Maybe you find somebody in the midfield, like an 8 or a 6 that's a DP. Or, which I know we brought this up before, if Marquinhos is on the table, do you finally, with that spot open, go to Marquinhos and say, hey man, we'd love to have you in the States. We've got the spot for you. We've got the money. And you convince somebody like Marquinhos to come in.
I would love for that move to happen. If it was Marquinhos, I'll be delighted. What I'm afraid of, to be completely honest with you, is what is Orlando City going to do with an extra DP spot? What kind of type of player are they going to look for? And again, we're going to be talking about these two rumors coming up in just a second. But there's, for
Yeah,
example, a lot of buzz right now in Argentina and in Brazil about Jonathan Calieri, and on a personal level, again, I'll do my report tomorrow about it. I haven't done it yet, but I don't think he's DP level.
I
He
don't
could
either.
bring a lot of good things to Orlando City,
Right.
but he's not DP level to me.
I agree.
So I think wasting, if that's where the club's going to go, because we don't know, but if
Sure.
that it would be a bad move in my opinion.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Now, Hull City recently promoted to a Premier League. The club always does good for the player if the player is not comfortable here, wants to go. I think the what they're asking for is within what it's a good number in my opinion. If you had like
Yeah.
a little sell on
About double their
clause,
money. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
About
I think it makes sense. I mean, I think Orlando paid like what 4 for him or 4.
4.8. Yeah.
Yeah.
4.8.
So I
Yeah.
mean, we're in a it could be 7 plus a sell on clause, and then you could also pitch it. I mean, if you use marketing tools, Orlando City's selling to the Premier League. You know what I mean? We're a developing club. So it has a
Sure.
sellability purpose. So there's a lot of wins, I think, for if Marco wants to go to Hull City and everything aligns for grant him his wish and thank him for the time that he was here in Orlando. Right? We wish we would have won the U.S. Open Cup with him, and he could have been etched in history. But but
Right.
again, it's cool. You know what I mean? That's something that he wants. He wants to be reunited with his former coach. So if that's what he wants and it makes sense for Orlando City, I think this is probably a good team to sell it to. Now, what are they going to do with that extra DP spot, right? So, I mean, right now, Neymar was spotted at Epic Universe right there. Right? I
No.
mean, you're like
No.
shaking your head.
No. No. We're not bringing in that
Hey,
broken
man,
chair. Ain't
he
no
did a
way.
he did a really emotional video about the Avengers.
I saw. I'm sure he did. I just
Very very nice video.
nope. I'm
Him
good.
holding the World Cup of 2030.
I'm good. I don't need it. There's no way that guy makes it to 2030. There's no way he makes it
They're
to
like, "Where are you
2030.
coming from, Neymar?" I come from
Was he gonna come out in a
2030.
wheelchair like Steve Austin and just take the
Right.
cast off? Like, what are we doing? Come on, ain't no way.
Man.
But yeah, but I think to sum up your point on Marco, if this deal is real, like if they're actually offering this money, I think it's good business for the club. You double your money. And like I said, if you get a sell on clause or maybe you get a couple extra million out of them, if they don't want to give you a sell on clause, you get some of that sweet, newly promoted money and you stick it in your pocket and you turn around and kind of find a better spot. Because here's the other thing too, he doesn't really fit anywhere great on this roster currently constructed lineup wise, right? So the club would have to go out of its way a little bit to try to find the right spot for him. And so it's probably best at this point to let him go and sell him because again, like you said, his heart is in Europe. Let him go and do his thing there and then reload in a different spot that makes more sense. And I think every fan will give you some argument as to what spot that should be. Some will argue, I've heard arguments for midfield. I've heard arguments for a prolific striker. I've heard arguments for a center back, a DP center back, if we're able to get like a high level DP center back. So I think it just depends on the type of player that you're looking for to kind of fill that spot. So it'll be interesting to see what the club does with this. And then don't forget, guys, technically, according to the information that is out there, Martino Hayda can also be bought down. So if the
Yeah.
team has enough TAM and GAM,
Yeah.
they can be bought down. So theoretically, this team could add 2 DPs onto its roster if it wants to. And so now, will they? I doubt it. It's a lot of work for Ricardo, right? But it'll be interesting to say the least to see what direction they move in.
Thank you to Baires, Club Atlético River Plate 33. I understand that it's that is to keep the parity, but come on, raise the salary cap.
100%. Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
we
It's
are
way too
we're,
low.
we're on your boat, bro.
Way
100%.
too low.
It's stupid. Sorry, that's the word
No,
I'm going to
it's
use.
laughable, I think is the better way to put it.
I mean, you first want to sell that the MLS is this league that can compete to the championship and to the league from Denmark and the league from Belgium, and then look what happened in the World Cup. I'm just going to leave it like that. It's crazy. So now there's another rumor about a prolific defender that had a really good story, but then recently really hasn't had the best um, career, I would say. But let's break it down. So it's the name of this guy is called Alex Moreno. He plays for Girona and at the moment. So it was reported by journalist Santi Auna right here from Mercato, from Parisian United, that Orlando City submitted an offer for this defender. He plays fullback and left back. So right now, obviously, there's no confirmation from either club that the transfer has been finalized or accepted.
Yep.
But his backstory is essentially he was a prolific guy in the youth. Then he moved into playing for um, Aston Villa, and then in 2023, then he had a really bad hamstring injury, and that's what kind of spiraled his career downwards a little bit. And then Lucas Digne, which is playing the World Cup right now with France,
And he's
took
going to
his spot.
PSG. Yeah, he's
Yep,
going to PSG.
yep. So he took his spot. He took his spot, and then Aston Villa loaned him into Nottingham Forest because they signed Ian Matson, right? And in Nottingham Forest, he only played 21 games, scored 2 goals. And then last year, he signed with Girona, and he's had probably an okay season. He's had a lot of minutes. He's been a starter, almost 2,600 minutes, 0 goals, 3 assists. So he's right now the primary starter at left back. Now, he's had a lot of physical setbacks during his career, a lot of muscular issues, especially a recurring pattern for the hamstrings and calves and the soft tissue injuries, which obviously are common for players that play on that position because they're high intensity attacking minded wingers in a way and fullbacks. And right now, he's being linked with Orlando City heavily in Europe as well. So
Well,
again,
according to that source, they said that there is an offer that has already been issued
yeah,
to the player. So to put it into bigger perspective, if I can add on here a little bit, Luis, there's been interest from 3 different parties: Orlando City, and then 2 Spanish clubs have been interested,
yeah,
right?
from the second division, I heard.
The 2 Spanish clubs are only interested. They're sniffing around, seeing if he's available because they know Girona just went down. Orlando City, though, according to this guy, has apparently put forward an offer. Like, they're saying Orlando
Yeah,
City has already offered to this player. Now, let me say this, because I don't know if Luis caught this, because it got kind of busy yesterday. I posted 20 minutes before this guy did of things that this name had come up to me from sources that I had talked to and said, hey, this is a guy that we're kind of keeping an eye on. And I heard similar type stuff on my side. Now, again, from my sources, I never really get 100% definitive because that's just the way the business goes. But then I saw this come out yesterday morning and I said, okay, there's fire to this smoke, right? And there's something there. What I will say, and to give more context on this guy, he's a Spanish guy through and through. He played his academy football in Spain as well. He's had some great, as Luis said, he's had some great academy. Like, he's been a part of some great academies.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
been a part of some
100%.
great teams. He started as a left winger and then was moved to left back
Left back,
when
yeah,
he joined Mallorca. When he played for Mallorca, that's where the switch really happened for him. And to give you the whole thing, he played a year at Mallorca. He played at Rayo Vallecano for 4 years. He played at Real Betis for 4 years. Then he went to Villa, then Nottingham Forest, and then he played for Girona this last season. So he's basically, for the most part, been in Spain with a little sprinkling of English football in there as well. What I will say is, yes, there have been some injuries on his profile that are not great. His injury that he sustained at Aston Villa was bad. Obviously, as Luis said, it required surgery. He was out for 5 months. I believe the whole timetable was 5 months. To put it in perspective, he missed the last 7 games of the season in 22-23, and he missed the first 7 games of the season in 23-24 because it happened at the end of the season for Aston Villa. So it kind of gapped over there. The other thing, though, and the reason why he was out a little bit longer, because I want to add context to it, is kind of what Luis said. When he first came into Aston Villa, he took over Digne's spot because Digne got injured when he came into Aston Villa. And then he was asked to start a couple of days later when he had just been transferred in. And he kind of stole the spot from Digne for a little while. And then when he got injured and had his really bad hamstring injury and then required surgery, he lost his spot to Digne and was like never really able to get it back because his first appearance for Villa when he came back was in Europa League competition. So there are some injuries there. There's no doubt about it. I'm not arguing that. What I will argue, though, is the verbiage that it is so severe or so consistent that it's a big concern for me. It's concerning. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not. But what I am saying is if you look at the numbers, because I broke it down, year by year, so this last season, he missed 4 games. He had a calf injury. Luis talked about hamstrings and calves have been his big thing. He only missed 4 games this season, so he was out 10% of the team's games, total games, the entire season. Okay, 4 games. At the end of 24-25, he missed 5 games, but he wasn't injured during those 5 games. This was me doing extra scouting. He wasn't injured those 5 games. He was out. He was using injury as an excuse because he was out trying to figure out what his future was after he was leaving Forest. That's the reason why he was out so many games. Then, of course, we've talked about the hamstring surgery, which affected him on those buckle years between Villa. And then he had a handful of knocks in 21 and 22 in various different times and whatever. The average in La Liga for at his position in terms of how many games you miss at either fullback position is anywhere from 3 to 5 games per season. So he's around what the average is, okay? I understand, because we're talking about, when we get into the money conversation, because that's the next thing people want to ask, one of the reasons why Girona is getting rid of them, we're trying to get rid of him, is because they went down, number one, so they need to save money and shed payroll. His payroll right now is 3 million euros in Spain. That's a lot of money to have for a left back. I think he's one of the most expensive players on their roster.
Yeah, he's almost 4 million.
So they have to find a way to shed payroll. So I understand the concern with some of his injury history.
Yeah.
But,
I agree. I disagree on there because I feel Orlando. I mean, they're here. You have another Marin, technically. I mean, so if we are trying to shy away,
I don't agree with that assessment either.
And move away with, you're going to get a player that has had a lot of injuries, even though for my counterpart, he doesn't agree. He had a lot of injuries. It will be a gamble. It will be a risk that Orlando City will have to take. Are we really willing to have another risk? Because if the money is right, we could, and we can negotiate, I feel. But then I think you're going to see Marin, and also Tahir Brown is to be ready. You have to have your backup. I feel like Orlando could get a better winger or a better left back or a better fullback that's available, or somebody within MLS do a trade.
You don't have GAM to trade, so you can't make a trade.
Well, I think Orlando could do better than Adrian Moreno.
I think, let me say this, Luis, and obviously, you have your opinion, and that's fine, but I think you're very much overhyping the injury concern there. I just do, based on what I've looked at, based on.
Well, that's your opinion. I do feel like it's. I mean.
Well, you're comparing him to Marin, which is also an unfair comparison because they're not similar players and they don't come from a similar.
Well, you have to understand he's going to have to require a tactical adjustment for MLS, and if he's already suffering from setbacks, every team he's played with, I mean, it is a win now kind of pickup, but to what degree? I mean, tactically he can operate 4-back, he could play a 5-back. But I mean, I feel like the injury it is something of concerning, and that's what we need right now. It's depth, because then we're going to be in the same scenario with Brecalo, with Jansen, with the elements that we currently have in the back line. Do we need another player that's going to add up,
I
or
just
can we
don't.
get somebody that's fitter?
I don't see it that way. And the other thing that you haven't even touched on that I think we need to touch on in general is we've missed the entire level of his quality that he brings when he's healthy, because we haven't discussed that at all. And I think that's the conversation that a lot of people on this are missing, is
Well, but
that
that's what I'm saying. It's a risk you're going to have to take. I mean, no one's denying that he could be a fantastical, crafty guy that could
but
play tactically several positions, which is true. But again, are we in a position as a team where we're trying to contend? If so, you have to have. You cannot get it all.
contend for what, Luis? We're 12th. There is
No,
no
right,
contending.
right. So you're willing to gamble at 12, but then you're gonna complain when this guy is injured. The fans are gonna complain. Why did we sign this guy if this guy's not panning out? So I think we need to go to the sure thing here. So I mean, we either want to fix our back
what's
line
the
or we want to
sure
add a possible headache for the future.
but what's the sure thing? Because you keep talking about the sure thing, but there is no sure thing on this
Somebody
roster.
that's healthier, somebody that's MLS ready.
Who in MLS are you going to get, Luis?
Somebody
That's fine. You can say that,
somebody
but who in MLS are you
it's
going to
going
go
to
get?
cost you a couple of more millions, but we
But put a
can
name out there
figure it
for our
out.
viewers. Put a name or two out there for our viewers. If there's somebody that you think that fits Orlando City better that isn't injury prone, as you've labeled the guy,
Well,
who is
I
it then?
feel no, I feel the guy is, to me right now, a risk.
Okay.
So I mean, and again, I could say it. You may disagree with it, but it is a
Sure.
risk. I mean, it is a risk. Now,
I do because we're damning the guy before without talking about his talent either.
Orlando City is known for taking these risks, though, and I give you that. Orlando City, but now
Well,
the
cheap
fans,
risks,
the
but yes.
rabid avid fan, right?
Yeah.
The rabid avid fan, right, complains about sometimes the moves that Orlando City makes for certain players. When Angulo goes cold, oh, Angulo's a bad signing. Oh, we should have never, or when this person goes cold, So my question is, if this guy, we sign him and he goes dead, the first thing that's going to come up is, why do we sign this guy?
You're damning him before he even touches a blade of grass, man. Like, I just don't want to go into it
All right,
doing that.
I'm gonna keep the receipts if they sign this guy. And this guy,
that's fine. You're
okay,
more than welcome to.
Okay.
If we're gonna start scorekeeping, then fine. But what I'm trying to say and get to the point of is this guy's upside is tremendous if he can get on the field and Orlando City can make this deal work. And I think that's what we need to touch on, because right now Marin is a black hole, dude, at left back. He's a black hole, and so.
Right, but like I said, Neymar is talented, but also a huge risk. Right. I understand that, but
Neymar's injury history has been worse than this guy's.
From my understanding is that this is a risky move for Orlando City, especially in a position in which you're trying to get away from. You need to have some continuity. You need to have some fresher legs. Yes, no one's saying that he's a bad player. I think he's probably a really great player. It's just his injury. It's concerning. It is it carries risk, man. I mean, and to me, I would hate to see Orlando suffer again in the back line and then having to deal with Marin and with Tahir Reed Brown and putting all that weight on the kid. I just think if Orlando has an opportunity of getting, Orlando can do better than what's his name? Adrian Moreno, Alex Moreno. He could do better than that. I feel like, I don't know if we're not looking at a different place, or I mean, we can even look into South America.
Well, we did. We were linked to that left back from Estudiantes, but
yeah, I mean, I think he'll probably fit better for Perlman. I just don't understand why no one has talked about his injury situation. I mean,
that's not true, because I've seen people talk about it, but I understand your overall point that a large chunk of people have not talked about his injury history.
Yeah, it says we want to win. I don't know about eyes. We have Griezmann already.
Oh, I don't care about eyes. Yeah.
Okay. David, are you saying that Neymar is a yoke because he's injury prone, but it's okay to get someone else who's injury prone?
But again, it's the amount of injury, Dolphin, that you're missing. Neymar has been out for months at a time, where this guy's had one of those serious injuries over the entirety of his career. Like, I get it. I understand what you guys are saying, but Neymar, the reason why people like Neymar is because he puts butts in seats and he gets owners' money. But if he's only going to play in 5 games out of a 30-game season, I'm not interested. I want Orlando City to win. I don't care about extra eyeballs from random different sources. Griezmann's going to solve a good chunk of that for us. He's going to be MLS's poster child alongside of Messi for the next couple of months. Like, I'm not worried about that part. This at this point, what I want from this team is I want to go and win U.S. Open Cup. So I want to get players on the field that can help us win the U.S. Open Cup, and I want this team to, at the very least, sneak into the playoffs and try to disrupt the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
right.
we just need reliability. That's the word, especially in the back. And right now we have all these players that are leaving and these opening spots. Like, I would rather go for the sure thing. I mean, and again, you can tell me, oh, give me 3, 4 names. I can give you many names, I'm sure. But I mean, they need a little bit more reliability, because we right now, I mean, we've had some injuries in the back line that have cost us tremendously. A lot of fans have been very angry about how the team performed in the first half of the season. Some of them are not even content about winning U.S. Open Cup. Some of them, they want more than the U.S. Open Cup, and that's understandable. So if we're gonna kind of do that, we're gonna bring what I'm trying to say is, like, we could do better than an Alex Moreno, and I feel like, and don't get me wrong, I don't want people to think, if they sign this guy and he's an Orlando City player, I'm gonna support him 100%.
From day one.
I'm gonna support him 100%. I don't want him to fail. I want him to do great. And maybe they have something that I don't know. That maybe they have a great doctor now. Maybe they have a better people that
we haven't seen that this season, but it's fair.
I don't know. Maybe they can take care of his. Maybe they're gonna load management minutes for him better. I don't know. Maybe they can. Maybe they think that, again, just like some of the most important signings that the club has made have been low cost, high dividend paid players. This is another possibly low cost, able to negotiate the fee down. High, like you said, is not a bad player for what he can give. High impact, high reward. That could be it. But again, are we doing this again, especially in the back line, where I think we need some reliability. We need some players that are going to give us and really secure the back line, because I can maybe take a gamble for the attack. For example, I wouldn't pay DP money for Caleri, but if I sign Caleri in a really good contract, that's not going to mess up Orlando City and their ambitions. Caleri, it's probably not a bad pick. I mean, there could be worse signings on Caleri, in my opinion. But again, it's the ambition, you know what I mean? And I feel like we're going to have a repeat of the first half of the season. Hopefully not. But I mean, I do have to say it, right? So I don't know. It says Luis is buying a Moreno kit if he signs. Says, you heard it first. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem. It says, I'm with you, David. I read up on this guy and it's in the same situation as Neymar. And assume our medical team evaluated.
Well, and that's the other thing too. I'm glad Tom brought this up, because, guys, remember with Dusan Stojanovic, who was supposed to join us the beginning of the season, that deal went down because he failed his medical, right? And that's because Orlando City was very persistent that they did their medical a particular way. That's all I'll say. I won't say more than that. But again, if this guy comes in and they do his medicals and they say, hey, his hamstring or his calf is shot, then yeah, absolutely. Then I tell Orlando City, you back out of the deal.
But then the same medical staff masked Brecolo's injury, and he signed.
I thought we knew about Brecolo. I knew about Brecolo's injury.
No.
Oh, okay. I must have known that on the DL.
and we lost Brecolo for a little bit, right? And so that's what I'm trying to say.
When he first came in. Yeah.
Of course, we took a gamble of Brecolo, and it paid. I mean, he's not a bad player. It paid off. But he's had now some games that have not been good. And also he had to deal with a lot of his injuries. It would be better to have a back line in which we don't have to worry so much about injuries. Injuries, I think, when they're manageable in the attacking third forward, we have players like, Justin Ellis, and we even have Caraballo, and we have dynamic players in the attacking third.
Thiago,
I can maybe take a gamble on those. But in the back line, I mean, who do we have behind? I mean, honestly, I don't want to throw nobody under the bus, but who do we have behind Jansen or even Brecalo? Um,
Iago.
Yago,
Nolan Miller was starting for us in the
Nolan.
beginning of the year, but he got
Right,
tossed aside.
right, exactly.
But
So I
but don't
think,
forget Luis too. The other thing we need to talk, and I'm not saying these are like for like replacements, but this
right,
club has a very confident air about them with their academy kids too, right? So when you're talking
let's
about,
hope.
you brought up Tahir Reed Brown already, but like Bernardo Ryan is another guy they have a lot of confidence in.
Bring him
Zach
on.
Taifi on the other side, they have a lot of confidence in. Clovis Archange, which is a name that I think people should start thinking about because the kid is nasty.
That's
He's another
another.
guy you
That's
can
another
add
guy.
to your list as well. So the club eventually is going to need to start using their academy kids to provide decent supplement. And we've seen good games from Zach Taifi this year. We've seen good games from Colin Gusky and all these other players that have come up from the academy. Again, I'm not saying they're maybe the best replacement, but they're good enough to probably get a team to the playoffs, right? Or they're good enough to maybe win a U.S. Open Cup. And the thing that I've been saying for a while, and Luis and I parroted this, is I think Zach Taifi should be training on both sides. Let him train on the left, let him train on the right, and
I
he should be
agree
the
with
first
you
guy that backs
on that.
everybody up, right? Because he's talented, right? He's got a lot of athletic ability. And Tahir Reed Brown has been put in a weird spot where, you know, sometimes he's a center back, sometimes he's a left back, sometimes they play him as a wing
He's
back.
he's played midfield.
Yeah, he just needs to get like, they need to just be like, hey, we want you to be these things. We're really going to coach you up. We're really going to get you to that point. Because, for example, like the OCB game, real quick, the OCB game the other day, Tahir Reed Brown played for OCB yesterday. He didn't stay with the first team. He went and played in that game at starting left back. He wore the armband. He had an okay game. Wasn't the best game for him. Wasn't the worst game for him. It was fine. Bernardo Ryan did not travel for OCB yesterday because I think of how much they used him during the scrimmage for the Rowdies. He ended up staying with the first team. Harvey Sajarin, same thing. He didn't travel with OCB yesterday. He stayed with the first team. So this club has a lot of confidence in its draft picks and in its academy players to fill in those gaps. And that's how MLS teams are successful, right, Luis? The Seattles and all these other big teams, they use their
Yeah.
academy to help bolster the rest of the squad. So
Yeah, and to me is, I feel on the attacking third, we
yeah.
can get better players and we also have some depth on there. But when
Yeah.
it comes to the back line, I mean, again, we don't know what this administration wants when it comes to the kids, right? We've seen them putting the kids sometimes and not putting the kids sometimes. But I feel that what we need is a MLS proven, not so much adaptation backline. So
Mhm.
players that know how to play the MLS, or at least come from leagues that are kind of similar to the MLS, that adaptation is shorter, and that are fit, because the grueling is of the league, the traveling, the
Yeah.
flying, that could
Well,
cause
Luis,
also some
I think it
stuff.
depends on formation too, right? Because against
Yeah.
the Rowdies game, we saw a back four when most of the season we've seen a back three. So, do you need a wing back? Do you need more of a traditional left back? You know, what does that look like in terms of what the team wants to do? And only Martin Perlman knows that right now, right?
Yeah.
He's the one experimenting with all the different formations. So, it'll be interesting to
No,
see. But
Martin is probably staying.
and what I'll say is this: is that my only thing about all of this, and again, this was evident at the Rowdies game, if they're going to have Wilder Cartagena drop into the back line like he likes to when they go forward, he basically makes a back three between him, Brecalo, and Janssen. The left back needs to be more prolific than what we're getting out of Adrian Marine. Because yes, Adrian Marine has good like long balls every now and again, or maybe a good pass here, but that's not his bag. That's not his best part of his game, right? And so I would rather see this club get somebody who's a little bit more spicy, a little bit more forward, a little bit more punch to them if you're going to have a left back that's going to get forward. Because we know Dorsey on the right side gets forward all the time. I want to get something similar on the left-hand side. Let somebody really push. And one of the things that I liked a lot from Moreno is his progression numbers, and compared to the top 5 leagues, are elite, man. He's at the 90th percentile in ball progressions, acceleration with the ball, and dribbles, like successful dribbles. So this guy can make people miss and get the ball upfield, which is exactly the kind of skill set you want to see if you're going to let your left back get forward and be a part of the attack. But again, Orlando City could change how they play tomorrow, and we won't know until we see these guys on the field more consistently. So
It says if Orlando can just sign Marquinhos, we can end the debate right here. Well, I
Touche.
mean, I mean, look, David and I are good friends and we're partners here. But sometimes we disagree. But sometimes I
Sure.
think we could agree to disagree, but we all
Yeah,
want what's best for Orlando City, and
absolutely.
that's why we're so passionate. Now, when this is over, we're still friends. I mean, it doesn't change
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. And again, I'm on board with him at some point. Like, look, I'm just giving my opinion. But if Alex
yeah,
Moreno,
for
for
sure.
example, if he is announced as an Orlando City player, he's going to have my full support because I want him to do great. And
Absolutely.
I'm going to trust what the club has decided. Maybe they again, that's not my field of work. You know
Right.
what I mean? Maybe Ricardo knows something more than I do, or maybe
Yeah.
he has the physios
He's got
or
a lot of he's got a lot of faith in his staff, right? A lot of faith in his
exactly that they're
scouting
going to
team.
be able
Yeah.
to manage better, and he's not going to have these issues
Yeah.
like they've done with some players that we've had in the past with Pato, for example, which was a huge part of the
Sure.
U.S. Open
Yeah.
Cup
It's a good
win,
point.
right?
Hmm.
With even Adrian Marin, I think Adrian Marin. I mean, yes, not probably the best player, but I mean, he came kind of with
And let
some
me say this,
injury. He's
Luis.
playing
I
more
don't
minutes
know.
now.
Yeah, and I don't know this for sure, but like obviously with Moreno spending a lot of time in La Liga, Griezmann
Yeah,
might have gone up against this guy a few
hundred
times, right?
percent
And maybe this was a Griezmann said, "Hey, we're looking for a left back. I know
true.
about this guy. Garona just went down. Maybe this is somebody you can look at." Again, we
It
don't know
could
that for
be.
sure, but it could be a thing of like, because again, they trust Griezmann's eye in terms of looking at talent, right? So maybe Griezmann gave him a list, or maybe Ricardo said, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, we're working on a left back, blah blah," and Griezmann just said, "Hey, what about this Moreno guy? He's pretty good. When he's healthy, he's great, and blah blah blah." And I'm sure, again, if an offer really came through, I'm sure Orlando City is doing their due diligence to make sure, is he fit? Is he going to be able to fit into the climate? The other thing that we didn't talk about real quick, Luis, is we didn't talk about salary. So to make the numbers work, because obviously you don't want this guy to be a DP, to make the
Mhm.
numbers work, Garona would have to sell him for about 1 million to 1.5 million for us to make that work for us. And then salary wise, you'd probably have to pay him somewhere between $500,000 to $700,000. So he'd be a TAM player
Yeah,
for
he'd be a
sure,
10 player.
but you would have to the buy the op, and maybe it's a loan with an option to buy. I don't know. They've got him on contract for another year, so you could do that as well. But if you're gonna buy him from Garona, though, the number has to be around a million and a half. So to make it work. So again, that's where the money kind of has to fit in. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that works and how that fits.
And now, obviously, there's the rumors before we end the show today. There's
Sure.
rumors for Caleri.
Hmm.
The rumors for Caleri, like I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's worth a DP spot.
I don't
Again,
either.
I'm not trying to suggest anything. I
He's a
think
good player, just not a DP.
I think he's a good player. I think, and I have a thing I'm going to post tomorrow, but he's a good player. Maybe for certain things that Orlando wants to do tactically.
Yeah.
I think as a presence, a leader, I think he has more leadership qualities than some of the strikers that we've had in the past. I don't think.
Sure.
I think his presence, his build is probably kind of like big. And when,
Yeah.
like for example, when we play like the really important teams like LAFC and Inter Miami, he's gonna be
Or
bothersome.
League's Cup, like
Yeah,
Mexico teams. Yeah, in League's
exactly.
Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very he knows how to use his body. So there's a lot of pros that he has, but it has to come at a good price
Well, maybe it's.
because
I thought about this the other day, Luis. Maybe it's a loan with an option to buy. Maybe that's what they try to do, or something like
maybe
that. I don't
maybe
know.
I mean I think people in Sao Paulo he says his best stint was in 2021 when he came back. He has some good games, but it has
Sure.
not been consistent. A lot of people in Brazil have told me that his finishing has been kind of in decline. And right
Hmm.
now, dude, we need a finisher.
Yeah, I
Like
want somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net.
exactly. So
That's
might as
all I
well.
care
If
about.
not, I'll put Justin Ellis and make him
Right,
my
and let
starting
him go through
nine.
the growing pains. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
like I would rather save that cash, get
Yeah.
a better back line, like sort out my back line,
Yeah.
and run with Justin Ellis up top
Can I
because
say, yeah? Can I say
yeah, go
one
ahead.
more thing that I've kind of heard that I just want
Yeah,
to kind of sprinkle out there for our
yeah,
people
man.
before we
Of
leave?
course.
Is I have heard that the club is potentially kicking the tires on a previously employed player of the club. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go farther than that. But and again, I'm not saying that this person is a free agent or anything like that. I'm just saying there is a player that the club has had before that they are looking at again to potentially bolster the squad because they think now with the pieces around that person, they could all be a very good team. So I will
Sebastian
leave it.
Underwater, welcome to Orlando City.
Oh God, you were giving me horror stories on that guy. Urchan Kara, welcome back. No, I just
Sebastian Underwater, welcome back.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say is just like the club is kicking tires on a player who was with this team prior, and that there is an interest from both sides about a reunion of sorts.
Oh wow, that's good, man. That's a good. You know, it could happen. Is it Luis Muriel? He already trained with the team.
No, it is not. It is not Luis Muriel.
People always so mad.
No, Junior won't want to get rid of him because he helped them win one of the trophies, right, or whatever. Oh, God. No, I think he's past his playing days.
I didn't win. I want to win the Open Cup.
They got Grizzy now.
I'm coming back, guys.
Kaká can give us 30 minutes a game or something.
It's fun, guys. A bunch of passionate fans. Yeah, I mean, David is my boy, man. I will never get mad at him. It could be Facu Torres.
No, it's not Facu Torres.
Rodrigo Schlegel, man, I'll flip out.
No, I think he's having a good time at Atlas.
Yeah,
he's doing well there.
He's really good at Atlas right now.
Yeah.
Is this here? All insane. Tapia would look good. Renato Tapia would be a great player. But I mean, Renato Tapia would be great if Cartagena leaves. I don't see Tapia as sorely as a center back. I like him he's a true D mid. He's like a dog. Like I think that's the reason why.
Yeah.
And he plays D mid for Peru, the national team.
Nice.
He's 30. He's coming from the UAE league, and he wants out like really bad. I think right now his if I look at his salary, I think it's really not. It's kind of like Alex Moreno. Yeah, he's even cheaper. He's worth 1.5 million euros.
Oh, okay.
1.5 million euros for a 30-year-old national. I mean, it's not bad. Now, obviously, it's up to Ricardo, but I mean, I don't want to sound biased, but
it depends on what they think about Wilder, because I've heard that they have liked his progression a lot during this period. I hope he goes back to the old Wilder, right? That's all we want is for him.
I think if Perlman stays, you're probably looking at me like, what? If Perlman stays, I think Wilder stays.
I mean, there's no indication that he's leaving, so I'm not gonna. Like at this point,
Daryl DK is a free agent. Hey.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing for his next spot in his career.
I would take DK over Caleri if it was me.
Yeah, I think that's an easy choice, to be honest. Yeah.
Never say never on Kaká since Ronaldinho. Look, we can what about Richie Larea?
No, he's in Toronto. I don't think they're gonna cough him up.
Former Orlando City, come home.
I don't know. All I'm going to tell you guys is that it is a former Orlando City player, and that there is interest on both sides. So I'll go that far.
Duncan McGuire, welcome back.
Sorry, Houston kept the receipt. They're returning it. No,
you imagine? Was it the Bear?
No, he retired, didn't he?
No. Oh, he's a preacher now.
Yeah, he's a preacher now, isn't he?
Oh yeah, true that. Is it what position?
I'm not getting anything else, guys. I'm sorry.
They're gonna go through the whole encyclopedia.
What I'll say is this: is that if I'm able to get a little bit more information / hear it from a few more people, because I want to put this out right, I will tweet about it. I promise, and I will let you guys know.
You heard it from David, guys. Well, I wanted to thank you guys for your support. I have to run to the Pride Pod, but
absolutely,
I want to thank you, David, for everything, and we'll see you guys on Thursday with more LPO. Hopefully, we're going to be talking about now the finals for the World Cup. Now, is this and again, it's all in good fun. I mean,
we'll have scrimmage. We'll have scrimmage information from Dallas, so we should have a couple of. At the very least, the score line. I don't know. Oh, don't forget, I wanted to tell everyone real quick. They are broadcasting it via radio, via YouTube, if that makes sense. So FC Dallas's radio team will be covering the game, but it will be audio only
Oh,
on
no.
YouTube.
Okay.
So it's really
Yeah, that makes
confusing.
sense.
So they're going to do it on their YouTube channel, but there won't be any visuals. You will just be able to hear the game from their call. So
Okay, cool. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a wonderful day.
adios,
Vamos
everybody.
Orlando. Take care.